The story of Paradise Lost. In this great Puritan epic, Milton tells the story of man's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree whose mortal taste brought death into the world and all our woe with loss of Eden. The poet plunges right into the heart of the great events which led up to the expulsion of Adam and Eve from paradise. He takes us first to the abyss of hell, into which the hosts of heaven had hurled Satan and the other rebellious angels. Hurled headlong, flaming from the ethereal sky, with hideous ruin and combustion, down to bottomless perdition, there to dwell in adamantine chains and penal fire, who durst defy the omnipotent to arms. There they lie, stretched out in their vast length along the burning lake, until Satan, concealing his despair, boasts that they will be successful in a second war on heaven. God lets the flames die down. God in heaven hears his speech and lets the flames die down, so that Satan may heap on himself damnation by a second trial. He rises on huge pinions above the lake, lights on the shore, and says defiantly to the dreadful realm of hell, "Receive thy new possessor, one who brings a mind not to be changed by place or time. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven." The rebel chief then marshals his forces, and in an hour builds a huge palace of gold and bronze and marble, more beautiful than any place of Babylon. A council of war is held at once, and Satan tells the assembly that he has heard rumours of a new world and a new race called man, whom God is about to create, and that perhaps these beings may be seduced to revolt. No one else is bold enough to undertake the perilous mission of finding this new world, so Satan takes it upon himself. He passes out by the gates of hell, guarded by the foul monsters, sin and death, after promising them the new race for their own. The archangel Uriel deceived. Through the dreadful abyss of chaos and ancient night, the fiend wings his way, skirting the wall of heaven, and finally alighting on the sun. There he takes the form of a stripling cherub, in whose face youth smiled celestial, so completely disguising himself that the good archangel Uriel, whom he meets, shows him the way to the earth, hanging on a golden chain from heaven. Triumphantly, Satan speeds thither, alighting on a mountaintop, not far from the Garden of Eden, the paradise of delight in which God had placed the newly created parents of the human race. He then finds his way to the garden and, disdaining the gate, leaps over the barrier. After admiring the gentle beauties of hill and vale, the rich verdure, the odorous sweets, he finds the tree of life, the forbidden tree, and sits upon it like a bird of prey. He looks out upon the wonders of the place, the living creatures, new to sight and strange, and two of far nobler sight, erect and tall, godlike erect, with native honour clad, in naked majesty. For contemplation he and valour formed, for softness she and sweet attractive grace. He for God only, she for God in him. Satan in hell plotting man's downfall. This illustration for Paradise Lost was made by Doré, the great French artist. It shows Satan and Beelzebub immersed in a lake of fire, into which they have been cast after their fall from heaven. Upright he rears his mighty stature, and the two fallen angels busy themselves plotting how they can offend God most grievously. These beings are Adam and Eve, who lead serene and happy lives in paradise, which yields them nectarine fruits to eat as they sit. On the soft downy bank, damasked with flowers, about them frisking play harmlessly the animals. Sporting the lion ramped, and in his paw dandled the kid. Bears, tigers, ounces, pards gambolled before them. The unwieldy elephant, to make them mirth, used all his might and wreathed his lithe proboscis. In the shape now of a lion, now a tiger, now some other animal, the vengeful fiend stalks round the happy couple and overhears the secret by which their downfall is to be worked. That the one command God has placed on them is not to eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge. When Satan hears this, he exultantly says to himself, O fair fountain laid whereon to build their ruin! Live while ye may, yet happy pair, enjoy till I return. Short pleasures, for long woes are to succeed. Soon Adam and Eve retire to rest, for now came still evening on, and twilight grey had in her sober livery all things clad. Silence accompanied for beast and bird. They to their grassy couch, these to their nests. All but the wakeful nightingale, she all night long her amorous descant sung. The fiend's work. When all has sunk to rest, Gabriel, who guards the gates of paradise, sends 2 angels to search the garden. They find Satan crouched, squat like a toad at Eve's ear, trying to corrupt her mind by dreams. They drive him forth, but the fiend's work had already been done. On awaking, Eve tells Adam of the dream in which Satan had told her that the forbidden fruit would make her a goddess. Adam comforts her distress, and they sing a hymn of praise. The Almighty was not ignorant of the stir that Satan had raised in paradise, nor of his baleful schemes. So he summons Raphael, the sociable spirit, and bids him visit Adam and warn him of danger. The winged spirit finds Adam sitting at the door of his cool bower, while Eve within is preparing dinner. Hospitably they invite the heavenly guest to share their meal of the choicest fruits of paradise. Seated on mossy turfs about a table of raised turf, they hold a long conversation. Raphael tells his hosts the story of Satan's rebellion and defeat, and relates the story of creation. He tells how, after the rebel angels had been hurled into hell, God had made a new world and a new race to take the place of Satan and his hosts. Adam, in turn, tells of his first experiences, how he had awakened to find himself lying on a bed of flowery grass, amid the warbling of birds and the murmur of streams. And he describes how God, to relieve his loneliness, had taken from his side a rib, which he had fashioned into a creature, so lovely fair, that what seemed fair in all the world seemed now mean. After warning Adam against the wiles of the evil one, Raphael departs. Meanwhile, Satan has been circling the earth and has decided to take the shape of the serpent to work his evil purposes. Adam is fearful of danger. In the morning, Eve asks Adam to let her work apart from him that day. Adam is fearful of danger, but at last consents, and Satan, greatly to his joy, finds Eve alone, veiled in a cloud of fragrance. He goes toward her, not writhing along the ground, but half erect, his head crested aloft and carbuncle his eyes. He curled many a wanton wreath in sight of Eve to lure her eye. Eve hears the rustling of his folds among the leaves and is astounded that he uses the speech of man. He tells her that she should be admired by all the world. Here in Eden there is only Adam to know how beautiful she is, and that he, the serpent, had received his power of speech by eating the fruit of a certain tree. Eve answers, "Serpent, thy overpraising leaves in doubt the virtue of that fruit in thee first proved. But say, where grows the tree?" Satan leads her to the tree, and she recognizes it as the forbidden tree that bears the one fruit they may not taste, lest they die. Satan says that threat is false, and he has eaten and has not died. If Adam and Eve eat, they shall be as gods. Eve listens to the tempter and eats the forbidden fruit. It seems to her that she has never tasted such delight, and she decides that Adam shall share with her in it. Adam is horrified, but resolves to eat the fruit, and, if needs be, die with her, since without her he cannot live. And then, though sky lowered and muttering thunder, some sad drops wept at completing the mortal sin. They swim in mirth and fancy that they feel divinity within them breeding wings, wherewith to scorn the earth. But soon their high spirits droop, and they quarrel. Sleep does not refresh them, and they are ashamed of their nakedness. They make for themselves girdles of leaves, and then soon the voice of God they heard, now walking in the garden. God asks them why they hide, and they confess their guilt. Adam says, "She gave me of the tree, and I did eat." Eve, with shame nigh overwhelmed, replies, "The serpent me beguiled, and I did eat." Punishment of Adam and Eve. God pronounces punishment, first upon the serpent, decreeing that he shall thenceforward creep on his belly, and shall be hated by woman evermore. Eve's doom is to be always subject to Adam's will, and to bear children in sorrow. Adam's is to till the ground in the sweat of his brow, until finally he returns unto the ground. For dust thou art, and shalt to dust return. Rejoicing in his successful villainy, Satan meanwhile returns to pandemonium, and boastfully relates his deeds before the assembly of the fallen angels. He waits for their applause. To his surprise and dismay, his ears are filled instead with the sound of hissing from innumerable tongues. Amazed, he looks about and sees that God has changed the rebel hosts into a den of swarming serpents with forked tongues, and, crowning horror, Satan himself crawls on his belly, a monstrous serpent. Overwhelmed with grief, Adam and Eve at first wish for death. But gradually courage and hope return, and they resolve to bear submissively their lot. Prostrate, they fall in the spot where God had judged them, and both confessed humbly their faults, and pardon begged, with tears watering the ground. Repentance of Adam and Eve. The Son of God presents their prayers to the Father and intercedes for them. God accepts their repentance and consents to the ultimate redemption of the race, but decrees that they must leave paradise. The Archangel Michael leads them forth from the garden by the hand, while the fiery sword waves behind them, and the cherubim take their stations to guard the paradise they had lost. Sorrowfully, Adam and Eve depart. Some natural tears they dropped, but wiped them soon. The world was all before them, where to choose their place of rest, and Providence their guide. They, hand in hand, with wandering steps and slow through Eden, took their solitary way.